With us now is the Commissioner, Mississippi Department of Corrections, the one and only Burl Cain. Good morning, sir. It is a pleasure. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I hope you are.
I am day by day, as they said. So far, so good. I always remember the joke about that. The guy said he jumped out of a 12-story building, and the guy on the 10th floor saw him on the balcony. He said, "How you doing?" He said, "So far, so good." So I always keep that one. I always keep that one in mind. I haven't had you on since the notable escape, and I know that you did some interviews, but I'm wondering, is there an update? And we're talking about the escape of Mr. Wilson, Pretty Boy Floyd, and you haven't had a chance to address this audience statewide on what happened, and can we spend just a few seconds on that? And if there are any updates about the terminations or any new information garnered, just share that with us, Commissioner.
Well, good. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. And, we're very transparent, so we have nothing to hide. I did go and meet with a community at the fire station and talk to them, our neighbors, about what happened and how it happened. It was almost a comedy of errors, the way it worked. And they miscounted because one guy thought he was in the hospital, and so he changed the count. That's why it passed for as long as it did, because it looked like everyone was here, but he didn't see the body, so he didn't see him, so he didn't really count like he's supposed to do. So that was the first mistake. Then the rovers that go around the fence, because there's no more tower guards, so they just didn't see the coat and the gloves on the fence, and actually they passed, and he was in the fence at one point. And I don't know what they were doing, but They just didn't see him. And so he just didn't get seen. And so therefore, that's why he stayed out so long. Fortunately, it worked out well. And the sheriff and all the folks in this state worked really hard to catch him. And so it all turned out good. But we have a lot of correcting to do here and a lot of training we have to do. And that's what we're doing now, getting it straight. I don't think it'll happen again. I'm sure it won't. But still in all, it's prison.
Well, it was not something that he was planning. He just took advantage of the comedy of errors and that opportunity, apparently.
He did. He went to the doctor at 6 o'clock in the morning for a breathing treatment, which he shouldn't be having to go to the doctor so early. So then the captain took him, and then when he got through the breathing treatment, the captain left but didn't escort him back. And so there was a flaw. And so then he just went around the building, and the captain was supposed to take him back. So that was the first one. And then from there, he got to the fence. And from there, he got in the fence. And the razor wire did its job. But then from there, they didn't see him. And they should have seen him. They passed by. They should have seen the glove. They should have seen the coat. Just didn't look. So that's what happened. And more training.
You said that we don't have any tower guards anymore. Is that something new, or is there a reason for that? And is that necessary to put them back in there? Or is that something other prisons are doing, and why don't we have tower guards up there?
No, that's industry-wide, and that was probably left out, around 2012 or 14. I remember we closed the towers at Angola, and it was 120 people lost their jobs. It was cost-saving, but the people that lost their job was basically women and basically single parents, and basically a lot of jobs were lost. And so we wish we had the towers back because we could see activity on the yard and prevent these things from happening, but it was just too costly to keep manning the towers when you could have one person rove around the fence.
Have they been supplanted with maybe some cameras in that area, or how did you take up that slack?
No, they were supplanted by the rovers driving the car 5-10 miles an hour around and around the fence and making the round in time that no one could get through the fence, since it is difficult with all the razor wire, plus added all the razor wire. And then you did have a shock fence here in Mississippi, but that's been discontinued before I got here, which is kind of appropriate. I wouldn't really want to be using that. So just the way it is. It's just saving money. And so that one worked for most everybody. We didn't have towers at Angola either.
I mentioned this earlier. We were talking about you coming on, and I said there's been so many changes in your short tenure here, and there are more changes to come. So give us an update of what's going on as far as some of the changes and where we are at the prison systems across the state.
Well, we made a lot of progress, and we did get the letter that the Justice Department is back, so we're having to really deal with that right now with the legislature and while they're in session. And our Achilles heel for that is going to be staffing, because what we've done is we have repaired parts Parchment, repaired our facilities. We've air conditioned Parchment, which is crazy, but we did, and we got that done for about $600,000. And so people would say, well, why would you want to air condition where inmates are? Well, the correctional officers are there too, and we need to keep them there, and we need to just do it. That's what the industry is doing. And so then the other thing we've done is cleaned up, fixed up, but we fixed the food problem. No more food issues, and that's what Justice Department found. We also have fixed the medical issues. The only thing we haven't fixed is the hiring. And I might mention last year we hired 755 more people, but we lost 518. And so we're really correcting that with more pay. We're just going to have to pay more and match Arkansas and Tennessee and Alabama. Yeah. So that's going to help.
Were any of the funds that came down from the federal government possibly been to use that to increase the employment?
For this year, we hope so, because we have to fix the employment this year. Because without adequate staff, then we'll lose in court, and then they'll go and demand that we hire more people, and they'll tell us what to pay them and so forth. And actually, we're working with the legislators yesterday, and tomorrow we have a meeting, and to keep them informed about the difficulties. But the thing about pay is recurring expense. So the money that all came down is good for 1 year, but we have to really get lean and mean so that we can have adequate staff, but then still not have to, keep on adding more money to our budget. We got to know where we are or do less.
Well, how far apart are we? Well, let's say Arkansas, Tennessee, and Louisiana, and Alabama. How far apart are we as far? It's kind of like the teachers' discussion on salary, but are we that far apart to getting up to that average in the Southeast?
Well, Arkansas pays $18.75 an hour. We pay $15 an hour right now, and they're running a bus from Greenville to Dermont, Arkansas, taking our people over there to work. Then Tennessee is at $20 an hour, and Alabama's at $20 an hour, and pushing for 22. So we're below, and we're just going to have to kick it up because we have to hire the people. Without the people, we're going to be out of compliance with Justice Department, and then that's not going to be good. So we can hire them. We hired them at the other wage, but we didn't keep them. But that was because we didn't pay them enough and get the overtime to them fast enough. Some glitches we had, but it's all been worked out with personnel. So we got
is that mechanism in the appropriation process to handle that in this session?
Well, we pray so, and we met with Lieutenant Governor and met with our policy advisor with the governor and the powers that be and explained it to them. And I'm sure that they're going to meet our need. They don't want a consent decree. Nobody does. But it is costly, and we do need to pay the $18.50 an hour, and it is going to cost more. I need to have about 1,900 correctional officers. Some things we've done, Walnut Grove has made it easier because now we have rules that if you assault the staff at all, you go to Walnut Grove. Nobody wants to go there. So we stopped the violence in the prison. We made it a safer place to work. We have less violence now. Yeah. We don't get the phone call with all the shaking down people and strong arming and so forth. It's good. A lot better than it was.
Yeah. You said you needed 1,900 statewide?
What you do is we hire consultants that the Justice Department recognizes as being authorities on what you need for staffing. And that's what they said. But see, you got to remember, we've added Marshall to us and we've added Walnut Grove. And so those would have been paid to private companies. So it's really not an increase in correctional officers. We just shifted the burden from the private companies to us on Marshall, and Walnut Grove is new. So that's good.
The faith part of that was something that you've really worked hard in, and I want to get into that too, because I know the last time we had you on seemed to be a little bit disturbed that it's not moving as fast as you want to. We'll get an update on that and several other things from the good Commissioner Burl Cain when we return, and then after. We are back live with Burl Cain, Commissioner, Mississippi Department of Corrections, and I was looking at some stats here. Commissioner, in 2020, we were, recidivism was at 37.4. 37 points. That's not far from 40, which means 4 out of 10 prisoners who get out after serving their time go back into the system. And I know that's one of the first things that you were trying to address over the period of being here. And doing so, I mean, you set up classrooms and things such as that all across the state. But give us a little bit of an update on that, and this hopefully success.
Here, I don't know exactly the recidivism rate today because we haven't got everything in place, but we do almost there now. And so our welding schools are running. We have 32 people that will graduate from there in another, I guess, 3 or 4 months. We have our carpenter schools are working. The teachers are inmate teachers. It took a while to get all that ramped up. And so we're really fixing to rock and roll with school, and we will be doing that this spring. We're joining up with MPIC, and they're going to be part of the Department of Corrections like it should have been all along. And so that's going to help us with jobs. Every inmate's going to have a job. And we're going to be paying inmates minimal amount to work, from a nickel to 50 cents an hour. The guy driving the combine will get 40, 50 cents an hour. The teacher will get 30 cents an hour. And so this is going to give everybody a job so we can make them work. And if you don't get up out of bed, go to work, you get RVR. If you didn't pay them, then you couldn't make them work. And so with that, we're looking to have a lot of soybeans. We're looking to have a big farm at Parchment really operating and working. And we're looking to have everybody on vegetables produced and things that really save us money, but get them to work so they'll learn to get up out of bed, go to work, and keep their job. I also have lots and lots of schools. We look for 1,000 inmates in school next year in skills and trades. So it's moving. That's going to change the recidivism rate greatly and make the prisons less violent, which is happening now. The gangs are about gone. We're about 1,400 gang people left. We had 6,500 when we came here. And the leaders are gradually making their way to Walnut Grove. So that's all changing the dynamics of the prison.
Do you need some more people at Walnut Grove? Is that one of the prisons in our state that's understaffed?
It's not understaffed there. That prison is hanging its own, but it's not that many inmates in it yet. There's 32 inmates in a addiction program there. They're state of the art, and there's about 28 that are living there now that are gang people. But because as we started moving them there, they went underground, which is what we want. If they can be in a gang, I just don't want to see them and don't want to feel them, and we don't care what you are. So they went. That got started getting rid of them because they don't like being there. It's amusing when you strike, and I laughed at him because here he was calling the shots and running the show for the last 10 years, and now he's over there and he has no power, he has no authority, and so now he wants to hunger strike, which I just laugh at him. That's a joke to me. So anyway. He can. I don't care if he eats or not. So he can't move us around. We're not going to move from him. That's a baby thing to be hunger striking.
Speaking of that, though, what's the update on the contraband across the prison system?
It's greatly improved. The tobacco stopped that contraband. We made $1,200,000. That's how we're going to pay the inmates. No tax dollar to go and pay the inmates. That's coming from self-generated revenue from them, actually, from them spending money in the store. And for the profit we made on tobacco pays them. So that was good. And no drag on the taxpayers. But really the whole thing is getting peaceful and quiet because there's order to it and everybody has a purpose now. Churches are about to be built. They're going. There'll be 4 of them built I guess Christmas this next year. That's going to really be a dynamic changer for us because then people will belong to church and be out of the gang. We're not going to have gangs in Mississippi. You give us another year or two, they're going to have to be underground, hit or gone. That's good.
Every time we read some of the stories out there, and we've had in the stack today, I've got about 3 or 4 other stories of just needless shootings, and they've got to go through the court system, first of all, but they're incarcerated for the most part, those who don't make bail. You've got so many young people today, as far as shootings, that are going into that system. Is that more today than it was 20 or 30 years ago, or is it just, does it seem like that? I'm talking about, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and what else do you do with them?
Well, it's more, and so we used to incarcerate them. We don't really do that anymore. We are kind of progressive in that we don't do that. I don't think we have probably 18 or 20 juveniles in our whole system in MDOC, and so that's a problem, but the problem is worked on because the governor has done a really good job with the pro board. The pro board is not really paroling people in gangs and so forth and letting them back out in the community, which that contaminates the community when they get out of prison with violence and so forth. So it's going to be better, I hope, in the community. You have to have discipline.
Has there been any? True. Has there been any solutions to the prison industries and working with the Department of Corrections? And I know that this thing was kind of a moving target, and they're not called the prison industries any longer. It was something else, and I forgot the name of them. But has any change or any update on that?
Right. We introduced legislation to bring call it MAGCOR now, but it's prison industry.
MAGCOR.
Bring it up to correction. So it's going to be under us. Actually, I'll be the one that's over it, and Bradley Lum is still going to be involved as the deputy commissioner of corrections. Mm-hmm. And so we brought it into our fold, and that way we're going to be able to really farm parchment because it's a nonprofit. It can spend money faster and move a little faster for agriculture. For instance, next year, soybeans are going to be high because Ukraine's out of the market. And so that impacts soybeans. So we want to really ramp up and plant a lot of soybeans at Parchment. We want to generate as much revenue as we can for the state. So things like that we're doing with MAGCOR. And also it provides jobs for the inmates. We want them in the field working like they used to in harvesting our vegetables so we don't have to buy vegetables. There's a lot we can do with MAGCOR.
So would MAGCOR be under the farming there too? And again, under you, but would that come under the auspices of the farming operation, the agriculture part, under prison industries?
It would. That's how we did it in Louisiana. It was. I used to run an operation in the beginning of my career, so it works better. It's under the Department of Corrections in all the states but 3, in Georgia and Tennessee and Mississippi. So now Mississippi's in line with the rest of the states because that's where it works better. It is inmates. They do have to work for us. We do have to control them, but we want them to work and be in the field and still do industries and so forth, but not compete with taxpayer dollars on industries.
Commissioner, is that something that the legislature has to do, or is that an edict from your office, or how does that have to work? And if it is the legislature, is it effective immediately or July the 1st, since you need to get these operations underway as far as planning time?
We asked for July the 1st, and that bill is moving on. I think it's passed. We're waiting on governor's signature, maybe get something in. It may probably go to conference committee, but it's going to probably pass. And then it'll take us 3 months to get it ramped up and get it all organized. So July was great for us, and we'll be moving forward. We're going to Parchment today after I leave you with Bradley Lum and some of our people to look at the farm, look at cattle, look at the different things we can do there.
How many acres are we talking about that's farmable, or one way or the other with cattle or agriculture in soil?
Probably about 12,000. It's a significant farm, so we're going to get up there
pretty good,
and generate some revenue for us. Get right, so it's going to be good. Some of it's leased out now, so the leases will have to expire. But anyway, it's going to move that direction.
Well, that's some pretty big news there. And any other bills working their way through the House and Senate that you want to spotlight before we run out of time here?
Well, our hospice bill is moving along. Hospice bill saves MDOC money if we get it passed in the form that we need. So that one's working. And then we have also the inmate pay bill. I mentioned it passed. And so several things that went along for us. We've had really good luck with the legislature, and they've been very progressive. So it's all worked well, and it really to do no harm. Don't change anything we're doing. Let us keep moving forward with school and so forth. And we're working with the community colleges really well, and that's good across the state because we can teach skills and industries. But we're going to, for instance, change the Washington prison way up in the northwest side of the state. It's going to be a GED school. There'll be 250 inmates there, and all those will need their GED. So it's going to specialize in just that. So we're specializing in some of the regionals. Issaquena wants to be an A&D. Yeah. We need to do more of the A&D and addiction programs as well.
I think your problem is that you need 28 hours in a day, not 24. So that's, I don't know if you can squeeze that in. The legislature can do that. It is always an informative visit when we have you on. Safe trip up north to Parchment, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Commissioner, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it very much. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Burl Cain, Commissioner of Mississippi.